Hey, everyone. Thank you for joining me today on this Financial Sunday episode of the Sunday Sit Down with yours truly, Miss Nicole LaTreece. I am so happy to be here. There has been a lot that has been going on within my personal and business finances, and today is I don't know about y'all. If it's not for you, it's definitely for me, but I hope it ends up being for y'all too. So, tonight we are going to be talking about and discussing all things credit repair. So, last month, Tia and I took you through the journey of awareness, just being able to see where you are, get a feel for where your financial status and stature may be at this time, and start thinking about is there things that you need to do possibly to be able to figure out if credit repair is something that you need to explore. Now, we weren't just going to leave y'all there, right? Because we believe in having whole people, whether it's mentally, spiritually, and especially financially. So tonight we are going to actually be talking about tangible things and examples and tips and tools of things that can be done to repair your credit. And even if you don't have bad credit, I would say listen and tune in because this would also be something that would help you to maintain your good credit history. So, with that being said, I've said my welcomes. I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to T. Mr. Terrence Jones, what's going on, my guy?
Not much, dear. How are you doing this fine
I
Sunday?
am doing good, blessed and busy as always.
I hear you. I hear it. Before I start, I want to congratulate you on. I heard you had a very good business adventure this
Yes,
weekend.
yes, I did. I actually been having a couple of them, a couple of sold out Saturdays. Had my biggest selling opportunity 2 weekends ago, and I actually have been selected to be a vendor at the upcoming FC Tulsa. It is a soccer team here in Tulsa, and they are having their Greenwood night in conjunction with the Black Wall Street Tulsa Legacy Fest festivities. And I've been selected to be able to be a vendor that will be out on the concourse, mixing and mingling for their Jägermeister Cup home opening game.
That's outstanding. That's outstanding. That's what I'm talking about. I love to hear success stories from my people, especially my clients, because that's just a beautiful thing. I tell you in a heartbeat. I love when I hear people doing well, following their passion, following what they love to do, and it's becoming successful for them.
Yes, yes, yes.
Also, I want to just shout out today's Memorial Day for the veterans and the people who have known people who have given the ultimate sacrifice in defense of our
Yes.
country. I have a couple of friends who have passed away defending our country in the defense of our country. So today is a special day, and also because I'm a veteran, today just means something to
Well,
me.
T, thank you for your service.
Oh, that's not a problem. Hey, I did it. I did it to take care of my people and myself. So I appreciate that. So with all that said, we're gonna talk about the thing that gets a household move. We're gonna talk about your credit score to get your financial journey started because you can't do nothing, or it's gonna be very difficult if you don't have the credit score that's needed. And the first question is, how do I get my credit score to where I can make where it will make a difference in my life?
Well,
Well, here's some. I have
before
I have a bunch of. I'm sorry. Go
before
ahead.
we do that, let's
Hmm.
let's meet the people where they are, right? So, can you
Hmm.
briefly discuss what are some of the common mistakes that people make that damage their credit? Often, sometimes without even realizing it.
The the number one mistake, and I can't stress this enough. Avoid when you miss a payment. I can't. It might be small to you. Oh, I'll catch it next month. No, you will not, because it sits on your credit for at least 3 to 4, 5, 6 years
Mm,
before it falls.
okay.
You do not want missed payment. If you can avoid it, if you could contact your credit card and say, "Hey, I know my minimum payment is $50. Can I pay 25 now and I'll catch it up next month?" And if they allow it, fine. But you do not, and I repeat, you do not want a missed payment for any reason on your credit report 30 days late, because one, it drops your credit score immensely, and then two, it just sits there. So If you're looking to get a house in the next year, they're going to ask you about that. They're going to say,
Mm,
hey, well, we see a missed credit card, a missed payment on a financial responsibility. What happened? And they're going to ask you
yeah.
about that. That is the number one killer of a credit score, when you have missed payments. Also, something else that doesn't happen too often, but it does happen when you do not when you do not review your credit reports. That is because there are things that pop. You'd be surprised how some people have figured out, if they just transpose some numbers, they could get somebody else's social security number and get on their credit report
Mm, and damage it.
and damage it
Mm,
and damage it. And you'd be like, well, how did we're not about to get into how they can. Just know that it has happened.
right, right.
So you have to review your, that's one of the things, you got to review your credit report. But the main thing is, pay your bills and do not overextend yourself on your credit. Because you have a $2,000 credit limit, don't mean you go and spend $2,000.
Right.
It's not a grant. You got to pay that money back.
With interest.
I get a lot of people with interest, and that's the killer. You have to have certain rules to yourself when you have a credit card. If and one of the things I tell people, stop buying inexpensive things with your credit card. Oh, I'm gonna
Mm.
buy a number one with cheese. I'm gonna go buy what? Well, in Texas we got Whataburger, but I'm gonna go buy me a number one with cheese
Hey, hey.
Whataburger on my credit card.
Don't do Tulsa out here too.
Oh,
It's a
y'all do?
chain. We
Oh, okay.
got
I'm sorry.
several of
I'm
them.
sorry.
I go to them every morning. Look, I ain't supposed to be telling you this, but I've been going to them every morning getting that potato, egg, and cheese taquito because I be on the go. But yeah, we'll talk about that a little later.
We'll talk about that. Yeah, yeah, we'll talk about that. Okay, well, but then your people are familiar with
Hmm.
Whataburger. But when you put that on your credit card, that number one with cheese is $11 and some change. You put it on your credit card, all of a sudden it then turned into $15 with
Yeah.
interest. Let's say you don't pay that credit card off that month. Now that 15 then went to 20, 25. As long as you let it linger, that $11 Whataburger is collecting interest every time until you pay that credit card off. Why are you using your credit card for
Right.
an $11 purchase?
Yeah.
These are the things that will take money out of your pocket. And if you don't pay attention to it or keep up on it, all of a sudden your credit usage is above 40%, above 50%. You done almost maxed out your credit
Right.
card. And when you look at it, it's not a one big purchase. It's just a bunch of 50, it's a bunch of 11, 30, 50, $60 purchases just running down the credit card slip.
Yeah.
So these are some of the common mistakes, but we're not going to focus on the mistakes. We're going to focus on how to improve your credit. And as I said earlier, the first thing is, make your payments on time. Understand this: your payment history makes up 35% of your credit score. It
You
makes
say
up
how much again?
35%. Keeping your payments on time, all of your payments. If you could pay something off, pay it off and get it out your hair. But all of your payments have to be made on time. If not, if you for whatever
Mm.
reason financially cannot make a payment on something and you can't make the minimum payment, call them people. Call that credit card company and say, hey, look, I done ran into financial trouble. Can I can I get a forbearance on this payment this month and catch it up next month, or whatever the case may be, just so they do not report it on your credit as a late payment. And you can do that. You can call and ask them to give you a 1 month forbearance on your minimum payment. You can call your credit card and ask for that. You can call your car note and have your car note pushed back. You can't do it every month, but I think you can do it once in a 12-month period. But you could do the same thing with your car note. You could call them and say, hey, look, whatever the reason is, whatever you come up with, can I push this payment back to next month? And they would do it without reporting it as paid late on your credit. Number two, keep your credit utilization low. If making your payment history is 35% of your credit utilization rate is 30%. So in two items, represents 65% of your credit score. That's how important this is. So, what do you mean by credit utilization score, T? I mean the amount of credit you use as opposed to your limit. So, if you have a $2,000 credit limit and you use $1,000, then your utilization rate is 50%. That's bad. You want to keep your credit utilization rate under 30%. If you want to have great credit, you want to keep it under 10%. And this is important because whether you realize it or not, when your credit card hits a certain limit, the majority of your payment is interest, not principal. And then when the majority of your minimum payment is interest, you only may be knocking off $10 or $15 off the principal. Now more and your payment could be $200, only $15 going towards the principal, the rest is interest. All you're doing is putting somebody else's children through college. That's all you're doing at that point. You're not doing nothing beneficial to yourself. So you have to be very, very careful, very, very cognizant of the fact of how much you put on your credit card and what your credit utilization rate is. Number three, and I said this earlier, you have to check your credit report. You are allowed one free credit report from the three credit agencies, Equifax, TransUnion, and Experian. You are allowed one free credit report from each one of those every 12 months. Get that, request it, and look at your credit report. See what's on it. See if there's something that's not supposed to be on it. You need to make sure you need to get it off because it can negatively affect your credit score. So you need to make sure that your balances and your limits are accurate because sometimes your bank doesn't report your credit limits till 3 months later. And if you sitting at a high usage, but you know you paid it down, you need your credit report to reflect that so your score can reflect that. Because there's a big difference between 30% credit usage and 10% credit usage as far as your credit score is concerned. But also, there could be mistakes on your credit report. And some of the common mistakes is identity error, where somebody then put together 9 numbers and figured out your social security number and then applying for credit under your name. You need to know that, and you won't know that if you're not looking at your credit report. Also, accounts that don't belong to you. You'd be surprised the scams that are going on at banks and other financial institutions where people have access to your information. Also, this is why it is very important that you understand and know who you're giving your personal information to. This is just a side note. I know a lot of people who, oh, my boyfriend's sister do taxes. Do you know her? Is she reputable? Because these people have all the information they need from you to open up a credit card in your name. They have your date of birth, they have your social security number, and they have your driver's license number because they have to verify that. And you fool around and give somebody that information who is not a reputable person, guess what? All of a sudden, you got accounts on your credit report that you had nothing to do with. Okay. Also, sometimes there's duplicate accounts. This normally happens if account goes into collection and they sell it off to a bunch of different collection agencies. All of a sudden, you got two different collection agencies trying to collect on the same account, but each collection agency is going to put that account on your credit report. So you're gonna have the same thing on there twice. And if that's the case, you need to report that. Be like, oh no, this is the same thing. I'm not paying this twice, and it don't need to be reported as two negative items. And last but not least, outdated negative information. You will have collection agencies and even some companies try to put something on your credit that's 10 years old. And you'll be like, what in God's name is this? No, 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 they're not doing that. Anything after 7 years automatically falls off or should not be on your credit report. If it is, you need to dispute it because it should not be on there. But it's not that they won't try, especially if collection agencies get a hold of it. They'll put it on there because they if they find the right person who value their credit, guess what that person gonna do? That person will hurry up and pay that off before they sit there and argue about it. But rule of thumb, after 7 years, it has to come off of your credit report. Again, if you're not sure about these type of things, don't just let it sit there. Look up on the Fair Credit Act. Just go, Google search these rules so you'll be aware of what's going on and how it's going on. Okay. So on number three, again, we're talking about checking your credit report. The number four way to improve your credit is avoid opening too many new accounts. Avoid having your credit run numerous times for just things. You're just trying to do things. You don't want that because every time you get a hard inquiry on your credit, it reduces your credit by 2, 3, no more than 5 points. But if you do that 5 or 6 times, that's 30 points off your credit score. Before you ever apply for credit, ask yourself, what's the chances you getting approved? And I will tell you right now, if your credit score is below 650, you more than likely won't get approved for credit or a credit card or a shopping card or a department store card anywhere. Don't try. If your credit score is below 650, you need to work on your credit, not trying to get a credit card somewhere. If you feel like you need credit, get a secured card. That's the best way to handle that. But other than that, do not run your credit because it will not work in your favor, and all it will do is reduce your credit score even further, putting you in a worse position. Number five, maintain a mix of credit types. So that's when you have the credit cards. You have credit cards, department store cards, home loan, stuff like that. This is part of your credit score. It's just a small part. I think it's like 5% of your credit score. Having a mix of credit, not just having all your credit in like credit cards or whatever the case may be, is it important? It will. A nice mix will help you, but that's when you at a certain level. That's when you already intermediate, advanced credit understanding. But again, if we talking about 650 and below, you're not worried about the mix. You have other problems that you need to tackle. Um, before I get to the final five, Nicole, you have any questions for me?
Um, I mean, no information that you're given, like most times it's mind, it is a information. At the same time, too much understand. This question,
Nicole, you were breaking up. We couldn't hear you. Okay. Can you hear me? I'm assuming yes. Okay. So oddly enough, I'm gonna share a conversation I was having with a young man just today, earlier today, with you guys, and it's kind of revolving about his credit. Young man came to me and said, "Hey T, I just bought a car." I'm like, "Oh, okay, outstanding, outstanding. Let's take a look at it. What's going on? Let me look at your paperwork." Everybody in my family know when you have a conversation with me about money, that's the first thing I'm gonna ask for. Let me see the paperwork. What we talking about? And he was like, "Oh, well, my payments are $416 a month." I'm like, "Oh, okay." I said, "What kind of car is it?" He shared me it was a 2019 T. The asking price was $13,000. I said, "Oh, okay, $13,000. That's fine. What's your payment again?" He was like 416. I said, "How many months did they give you?" He said, "I think they gave me 60 or 62." I said, "Oh, okay." Young man, 21 years old, happy he got a car. I said, "Hey, do me a favor." I said, "What was your credit score, first of all?" He said, like 610. I said, "Oh, I said, so you do know you have a high interest rate, huh? He said, yeah, but that ain't, that doesn't mean nothing. I said, oh, I said, okay. So I told him, I said, hey, do me a favor. Take your car note and multiply it by the amount of months you have. So, he said, okay, I'll do that. So he multiplied it by 60, which would be a 5 year um, lease, a 5 year loan. He said, oh, wow, that's that's a lot of money. I said, yeah. I said, it is. It was like 25,000 or something like that, whatever the number was. I say, now, just because you're not sure, I say, I want you to take that number um, and multiply it by 72. And he was like, oh, okay, I'll do that. I said, now multiply it by 84. I said, whatever your loan is, understand this 5, 6, or 7 years, that number minus what the car is worth, because he did it by 72 and it was like almost $30,000. I say, between what that car is worth and that $30,000, that's what you paying for having bad credit. And he was like, what? I say, yeah, you didn't think about that, huh? Well, no, no. I say, bad credit, you pay for bad credit. When your credit is not in place and not the way it's supposed to be, you pay for it. I say, now your vehicle, depending on how long the length of the loan is, you're almost paying double what this car is worth just because your credit is not where it should be. And all of a sudden, it just like it was a light that clicked on in his head. He was like, T, this is a lot of money. I said, no kidding. But you wasn't thinking about that when you grabbed the $416 car note. You just like, yeah, give it to me. I said, yes, this is why they give you 60, 72, 84-month terms. The longer they could push it out, the more you have to pay on it. And this is why having good credit and having good credit understanding means a lot. Because if you have bad credit, you pay more money. Go out there and try to get the new iPhone or the new Samsung. And the people tell you you got to put down five, six, $700. Why? Because your credit bad.
Right.
Your credit is bad. Go apply for some utilities for a new place that you moved into. And they tell you, oh, you got to put down a down payment. Why? Your credit is bad. We want to make sure that if you don't pay your bill, we at least got a month in the hole on you. You pay for bad credit. Understand that because it will affect you if you're the one with bad credit. When you walk into places and they tell you, when you walk into a car dealership and they tell you, oh, you got to put $2,000 down. Why? Everybody knows $2,000 only may change the car note by $20, $30. But they are demanding you put down $2,000, $3,000 just because your credit bad and we don't know if you're gonna pay this thing off or you even gonna make the first payment. So we got to get something out of you.
You're gonna pay
Yes,
anyway.
again, back. Yeah, you gonna pay for it. Because I tell you, I haven't made a down payment on a car in probably mm, 20 years. And I get insulted when they ask me. I be like, no, not today. I know what my credit is.
Right.
You know, I tell you, it's a flex when you could walk in a car dealership, tell them you're not putting no money down, and tell them you don't need their financing. It's a flex because you have just taken power away from the car salesman. He knows he's not making anything off of you except what that price is on that vehicle. Nothing else. He can't tell you, oh well,
Yeah.
we have good financing. I didn't ask you for your financing. I have a blank check from my bank, my credit union. Well, let's see what we could do. Are you listening or are you not paying attention? Which is
You're
it?
trying to say
But
that's what it is.
because they make money if they can get you to finance with them. But if you cut that short and tell them, keep your change, Keep your financing. I've already been approved through my bank. Baby, it's a major flex. Well, how much you putting down? My signature. That's it. And look them in the face when you say it. My signature. Well, are you sure? I'm very sure. I know what my credit score is. So if that's what you're ready to harp on, find me another car salesman. They're gonna know that you know the game and you're not to be played with. And trust me when I tell you, they're gonna leave you alone because you're not gonna make them no money. They're trying to move on to somebody else who don't know the game. So on to number 6. Keep your old accounts open. I do not know why people have old accounts and close them. This affects your credit age. So what I want you to think about is I want you to think about you have two credit cards, right? You have one you opened 10 years ago and one you opened 5 years ago, right? So your average credit age, if you take both of them, is 7.5, right?
Mm-hmm.
What happens when you close the one that's 10 years old?
You don't have that history no more.
Now your credit age is 5.
Mm-hmm.
The older your credit age is, the better on your credit report it is. New credit, no. New credit is like insurance for a driver that's under 25. It's a risk. You know, you do not close. If you can keep them open. You don't have to use them. You just want to keep them open because you want that reflected on your credit age that I had this credit card for 10 years. I had this credit card for 12 years, 15 years, and I've managed to manage it the entire time. That looks good on you. Also, if you got a credit card that old, it's easier for you to ask for an increase in your limit. Like, look, I've been with y'all for 10 years. I've never had a problem. I've always paid on time. I need a credit increase, you know? And normally if everything else is okay and your credit score, your credit score is acceptable usually, but anybody with a credit card for 10, 15 years usually have good credit. They'll increase your credit limit. And if they increase your credit limit, guess what? It also increases your credit score because it lowers your credit utilization.
Mm.
When you have good credit works for you. Good credit works for you in ways you didn't think were possible.
They say good credit takes you far,
So,
huh?
hey, good credit does things for you you're not even paying attention to. I had a credit card. My credit score jumped up one time, and I was like, "Oh, I wonder what I did because I didn't pay nothing off." And I got an email. Hey, we raised your credit score from 5,000 to 15,000. I say, sweet heck, you book. I was like, and that's why my credit score jumped like 8 or 9 points. I was like, whoa, okay, I'll take that. I'll take that.
And see, to some people, 8 or 9 points may not seem like a lot, but 8 or 9 points when you are in a credit repair situation, it can seem like the heaviest weight on your back.
You just don't understand. And I tell people all the time, whatever you can get on, if you lose 8 or 9 points, you're gonna recognize it.
Mm.
So gaining 8 or 9 points, you run with that. You run with that. Also, when you have a good credit score, side note, when you have a good credit score, you get access to better credit cards. So one of the credit card hacks that I love to do is to take my bills, my household bills, and pay it on my credit card. Then take the cash and pay my credit card. And my credit card give me cash back, 2% on every dollar I spend. I'm doing is paying my bills,
Right. And then
but
using,
I'm getting 2% back on every dollar I spend.
right. Now, one thing I want to point out is you're using money that you already had set aside to pay your bills. So if you're going to work the hack, make sure you understand it and make sure you work in that hack the right way. Do not be the type of individual that's like, oh, well, I got the money to pay my bills, but I'm going to put it on my credit card because I get this cash back. But then you don't go back and pay your credit card. That ain't your money. You just borrowing it for a little bit of time.
Oh, preach, Nicole, preach. Thank you for emphasizing that. I was gonna come back on that to make sure but thank you. Exactly what you said is exactly how it has to happen. You take your credit card, pay your utilities, and instead of using your money, you take your money to pay the credit card.
Mm-hmm.
So all you did was use somebody else's money to get more money.
Right. Ain't that how the rich
And
get rich and
what I
stay
know,
that way?
the rich get rich when they make their money their employee. But that's a whole. Now I'm gonna tell you that right
I'm
now. That's a
talking about for the
whole
look. I'm talking
nother.
about for the sake of what you just said. Most times, you know, people they come into wealth because of investments of other people's money, whether it is the consumer, whether it is venture capitalism, whatever the case may be. If you can master the hack that he just gave y'all about using, and you got to pick the right credit card, right? Because every credit card should offer different perks. Whether you like to travel, you get your airline miles. If you like to get cash back, like T said, you can get your cash back. Hotel points. Look at the credit cards that you have and that you're getting. Figure out which point or value system applies for you, for your life, and do the hack that he just said. Use your credit card wisely to pay your household expenses only when you already have the money to pay your household expenses. Like if your light bill come out on the 15th, but you don't get paid to the 23rd, um you got a decision to make. I wouldn't advise using your credit card on the 15th. You need to call that company and tell them, hey, I need to wait till the 23rd. And when the 23rd hits, then you still use your credit card and pay it back. But again, your own credit journey, your own repair journey is going to be the same as your credit journey. However, you damage it is how you're going to have to repair it. That's my 2 cents.
Oh, baby, that was a helpful and a much needed 2 cents. I would tell you. Um, Number 7 on my list is paying off your debt strategically. When we talking about credit card debt,
Hmm. Let's
and
talk
I'm gonna give
about
an
it.
example.
Mhm.
Let's say you have 3 credit cards, and one of them has a $3,000 limit, the other one has a $1,500 limit, and the third one has a $500 limit. Normally, people will pay the lease on the one that will pay the lease amount on the one they owe the lease on, and trying to get down the $3,000 one, which is completely backwards. Make a plan. First of all, the first part of your plan should be, I'm not paying $500 on either one of these credit cards because you have other bills to pay.
Mhm.
It makes no sense to shortchange yourself by trying to pay off a credit card. Then you're gonna have to use a credit card to pay the rest of your bills. So let's say you budget yourself, one of the pay off the debt strategies I love using is the debt snowball.
Mhm.
You take So let's say for whatever reason you make $3,000 a month. Okay, that's your income. You say, you know what? I'm gonna take 10% of this and apply this to my credit cards. Okay, so on your credit card where you owe the $3,000 limit, you pay the minimum. Just pay to make the minimum payment. On that second credit card, you pay the minimum. On that one you owe 500, you put the balance of that 300 on that credit card. That credit card gonna be paid off in 2 months. When you pay that credit card off, the next one you do is that credit card you owe 1,500. So you take whatever you was applying to that 300 plus the minimum payment on that one, on the 1,500, all of a sudden it's snowballing. Now you could pay that off maybe in 5 months. Then you tackle the 3,000. That's what they call a debt snowball. and that's where you pay off the lowest balance first and let everything roll to the bigger balance. There's different methods to paying off your debt, but you have to have a strategy, because the limited you just can't take your whole check and put it onto your credit cards, because then you're not gonna have money for what you need, and then what you're gonna be doing is using your credit cards to live off of. We working in reverse again.
And yeah, you can't live off. I'll be the
Um,
first to tell you
yeah,
it's not
you,
possible. Like you can maintain it for just a little bit, but somehow, some way, it's gonna get out of order. It's gonna get out of whack, and then yeah, you're gonna be up under so much debt. Like I said, T know my business, and I don't have no business in my business. Sometimes what he is talking about right now, debt payoff, is the exact thing that we are trying to figure out for not type of person who I spend money to spend money, right? I spend money to live. I spend money to grow into supplies. And with where I have 4 years of the changes in my life, relocating to a whole other state, a divorce, going from a two-person income down to a one-person income, preparing for this unforeseen growth in my business. Like I had no idea that my business as it stands now, it was going to grow exponentially like it has. I'm not prepared for that growth because my personal finances, because of all those said changes, are now a work in progress. Look at everything that you have going on. I know it is a difficult conversation. I know it is a difficult reality check. I know it is, especially in the Black community, it is something that is rooted in so much shame and guilt and comparison and feeling like you're less than if your next man is making more. Don't bump everybody else. Look at your situation, understand your credit, know your credit inside and out, know your credit worthiness, because you have to have it, period. If you dead, you don't have to worry about it. But if you still living, and you want to be doing more than just living or surviving or scraping by, listen to what this man is giving you, because he has a passion for it. He knows what he's talking about. He's been in the game for several years. Like I said, he and I have been linked up for the past 10 years. This man has been all up and through my business when it comes to my finances. He is a trusted resource, and that's why I bring him in month over month to be able to speak to y'all and try to help you out for whatever your situation is like. But listen to what he's saying. Pull your credit report from all three bureaus. There's three of them. Don't just look at Equifax. Don't just look at TransUnion. Don't just look at what's the other one again?
Experian.
Experience. Okay. Don't just look at one. You get to pull your credit report annually, at least once a year, from all three bureaus for free. That could be the blueprint of what you need to create the plan to get your credit repaired if that's what you need. Like, I'm telling y'all, that's what I'm finna do. So if I go in hiding and y'all don't see me for a while and I ain't want to talk about nothing, I'm in my feelings because of where my credit stands right now. But there's comfort on the other side of being uncomfortable. This is temporary, and it can be temporary for you too. You just have to tap in. Sorry.
Oh no, 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 no! Look! How they say in church? Testify. You know,
Man, I'm telling you. I'm
you
telling you,
know.
because you never know where you're going to go, and your credit will be the very thing that will hold you back from that place. Like there are a lot of amazing things in the works for Cake Doubles. We talking about a whole building, possibly. Do you think I feel worthy of that building based on my credit? I know my product is slapping. I got that on lock, getting cost under control. I have. But that is a major investment. There, that is a major thing that is going to be required of me. And do you think that these people is going to give me a building without checking where I stand? So T, we got work to do. I got a year. This is what has been downloaded to me. I got a year, right, to turn some things around because the first meeting, the planning meeting, happens next Thursday. It got to happen.
You know, Nicole, let me say something. Let me say something. Lord have mercy, girl. You said a lot. Honey, you said a lot. Let me tell, I'm going to be straight up with you. Your credit can hold you back from your purpose.
Right,
Just like you said, I talk to people all the time and I tell them, somebody could be saying, hey, look, I want to sell you this. I love your idea of cake doubles. Um, let's talk about financing. And then you have to lead a conversation because you don't have the credit score.
right,
You can't finance a building to continue your passion. You
right,
can't finance, you're in business, but you can't finance your business because you don't have the money. So again, you slowly moving instead of speedballing your way through your purpose. And not because you can't do it, not because you're not a responsible person, but
right.
as far as your credit score, because if I don't know nothing about you, but I want to do business with you, and I see your credit score at 630, I'm not going to ask anything about you. I'm gonna say you can't pay
Right,
bills. That
right.
is the only thing I'm gonna say about you. You don't know how to pay bills. It has nothing to do with it. You might have fell into some hard times. You might have been unemployed, didn't have any income coming in. But if I just look at
They
your
don't
score
care
and I see
about
a
none
little
of that.
score, I'm not gonna ask you. I don't want to hear your stories.
Right,
You can't pay
right.
bills. Next. And it's heartbreaking. It is heartbreaking for a lot of people. But it is important that you one understand your credit. And let me say this because this is another conversation I had with one of my tax clients. Stop being cheap. If you don't know it now, my average client, the age of my average client is about 35, 36, right? I tell them at 35, 36, do you understand your credit? No. Then pay somebody to help you get to understand it. Do you understand how to budget? No. Then take the time to pay somebody because nobody's gonna give you something for free. That money, because it's apparent that you waste your money. That's why you can't pay your bills sometimes. Waste your money on something that's gonna benefit you. Spend your money, and I'm not gonna say waste. Let's not say waste. You spend your money frivolously. Spend your
Right.
money on something.
Or you like discipline and priorities because you're not looking at your life. You're looking at what you want, but you're not looking at your needs. You're not looking at where you are meant to go. You not, and like I said, I'm a victim of that. When I moved this last time, T, all my cake double stuff is packed up in my storage.
Hmm.
And it's literally at the very back of my storage, and my storage is completely full. Like I want to be like the song say, my storage is empty and I am available. Like I want to be able to have that as a part of my testimony.
Mm-hmm.
But because I didn't think about it, because I didn't look at it, because I didn't sit down and I was like, all right, well, I got to get packed up. I got to get moved.
Mm-hmm.
I'm moving into lesser space, but my business is growing into a greater space. Like, y'all, it is very important. Look at what it is that you are actually doing. Like T just said, if you don't know, you need to know. If you are the average age of his clients, if you are in your late 20s, early 30s, you need to start now. If you are in your late 30s, early 40s, you need to start now. If you are in your late 40s to early 50s, you need to start now. If you are in your late 50s to early, all that to say, it's never too late to start. We as the Black community have too many generational financial curses on us, all because we're not willing to talk and we're not willing to know. And like you said, we sure ain't willing to pay somebody to be all up in our business.
And that's,
Why not?
I tell you, and Nicole will tell you, I know about as much about Nicole business as if I was her husband. When it comes to the money, when it comes to the
Ex-husband, but
money,
okay.
we have to clear that up. When it comes to the money, you know.
Ex-husband, but okay.
But I know that because I'm trying to get an understanding of what she's doing and what needs to be done and what she can do.
Hmm.
And we have this conversation and we talk, and it's just it's a regular conversation. Nicole feel comfortable talking to me. I don't. Once again, there's no judgment. It's help,
Right.
and we have a back and forth conversation. I don't direct her to do anything. I say, hey, look, you know, you might want to look at this. You might want to look at that, because again, it's like exercising with your trainer. I can throw all
Right.
these things, do this, do this, do that, do that. But if you're not comfortable, or if you don't understand why you're doing it, you're not going to do it the right way, or you're not going to do it at all. So the one thing I would say, people, is if the bulk of your credit problems is based on your inability to control your finances, talk with somebody, a subject matter expert, someone not just telling you they know what to do, somebody who knows what to do and has a proven record.
Talk to Terrence
Well,
Jones.
I'm gonna tell you right now,
Talk
I'm always available, baby. This is my passion. I'm gonna go ahead and say this. You know, you're right. This is my passion. I can talk for hours about financial sustainability. I have to cut myself off sometimes because I get the rambling and going, and it's like, oh man, hold on, we've been talking for 3 hours. I love this is my passion. I research the stuff. I ask the questions. I talk to the people who has 800 credit scores. I'm like, well, what did you do? And trust me when I tell you, it's nothing magical. It's nothing. Oh my God, he did this. It's consistently doing the good things right. Remember that. I'm gonna say this to you, and I'm gonna say it over and over again. If you consistently do good things right, you will have the credit score that you want. The credit score that allow you to follow your dreams and continue on your purpose. So with all that being said, let's talk about number 8. And I have 11 of them, so we're on number 8, so we're almost closing out. So number 8 is a hack, right? And what it is be an authorized user on somebody with good credit card. Now, what is an authorized user? That is saying that you have the right to use that credit card if you had hold of it. Now, that person has to trust you because as an authorized user, you are authorized to make any purchases on that account without being questioned. So once again, don't go to your friend and say, hey, I heard this credit hack. Can I be an authorized user? No, I don't know you. I don't trust you. I don't trust you like that. But if there's somebody that you can trust and they trust you, you can see, and usually it's a spouse. Let's just go ahead and be real. It's a spouse. Put them in, and they can have you as an authorized user on their account, and that will bump your credit score up anywhere from 5 to 10 points, depending on that. But you also have to be able to trust them not to mess that credit card up because, excuse me, if they use that credit card and they mess up the credit usage, they also affects you. So, that's a double-edged sword. The person you talking to have to be real good with their credit, and you have to be real trustworthy where they can feel comfortable putting you on as an authorized user. Um, Number 9, increase the credit limit on your credit cards. If you got a decent credit score, and one of the things I do, like during Christmas, I kind of go shopping. And I'm like, oh Lord, I done spent $3,000 for Christmas, with family and gifts and stuff like that, and my own gifts. And I was like, okay, it didn't knock my credit score down. I go look at a credit card that I have, and I was like, let me call it and increase my credit limit. And when calling increasing my credit limit, when I call and increase my credit limit, they'll increase my credit limit by 5,000. That what that has effectively done is reduce my credit usage, which will increase my credit score. Remember, we talked about earlier credit usage. The lower your credit usage, the higher your credit score. So when you increase your credit usage, it lowers your credit score. So if I spend $3,000 on a credit card, my credit usage is higher, my credit score is coming down. But if I find a way to increase my credit limit by 5,000, all of a sudden my credit usage then went down, my credit score then went back up. So that's one of those hacks. If you know you spent 1,500, try to increase your credit limit on one of your credit cards. If you can do that, it's going to offset your what you spent and increase your credit score. Um, Another hack you can use is when you have a negative report on your credit and they reach out to you and it's less than that 7 year period, go ahead and try to negotiate a settlement. Talk to the people. They might say, "Hey, we owe $500, but we'll take 350. How if I pay you 350 right now, will you accept that?" A lot of times they'll say yes. 350 right now, yeah, we accept it. You make sure they put that in writing and send that to you. Because if you don't get it in writing, then nothing was said. But you go ahead and get that in writing. They will send that to you in writing, and then you pay the 350. You might have owed 500 on the account. Now you done negotiate a settlement. You done paid the account off. It showed it's paid and clear on your credit. You good to go. And that's the goal at the end of the day is to get it showed as paid and not in collections. So yes, negotiate debt settlements with the collection agencies if it gets that far. So if you look on your credit report and you got a bunch of negative stuff that's like 2 years old, remember the number is 7. So if you look on your credit report and you see something that's 6.5 years old, don't contact them people. Let that go. Let that go. Because 7 years is the limit. You fool around and I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna say this. Do not contact a debt collector or acknowledge a debt collector. Because the minute you do, that account could be 6 years and 11 months. And they call, "Oh, yeah, can I speak to Terrence?" "Yeah, this Terrence, who this?" "Oh, this is Tracy with so and so debt collection." Guess what just happened? You just restarted the clock on that debt. You just restarted the clock on that debt. And trust me when I tell you, they will call you in all kind of ways. "Yo, can I speak to T?" "Yeah, this T, who this?" "Oh, this Samuel with National Debt Collections on a recorded line. I want to talk to you about this." And you'd be like, "God, first of all, don't nobody ever call my phone asking to speak to T." So you do that if you want to. I'm a dial tone you. I don't even answer if I don't know your number. I don't respond to you. Go to hell.
And see,
I ain't
that's what
talking
I
to you.
was going to say. That should be the first indicator. If you are getting random calls from random numbers and you ain't been in these streets giving your information out to random people, more than likely it is some sort of debt collection company that's going to try
Mm-hmm.
to reach out to you. And another thing, so I'm glad you brought that up. So there was a scam that was going on a couple years back when it comes to that. When you get a call and they ask, "Is this such and such?" Don't ever say yes. If you're going to confirm who you are, say this is such and such. If you are going to not confirm and inquire who is calling you, the reason I say that is because you spoke earlier about credit fraud and all that stuff and how people can get your information. There was a scam where people were calling to say, "Is this such and such?" So they would be able to have a recording of your voice. And when you would say yes, they would use that recording for fraudulent purposes. So that means somebody can put your voice together in enough ways to apply for other things that you have no idea have even been applied for. So when you like, let's talk like grown people. right? Let's stop talking about talking like kids.
Mm-hmm.
Because when we talk about credit repair and credit journey, this is grown people stuff. Confirm who you are or inquire who's calling first.
Exactly.
Move forward from there, but never say yes if you are not in a true position where you are wanting to confirm the information that is required of you. Hey, I can neither confirm nor deny that this is Nicole Wright. Who are you? Like, you go get that straight political answer. Like, because it's important. If you're in the process, similar to me, where you are repairing things on your credit, you have to talk in a manner to where you don't compromise yourself in any way, because you've been compromised for so long as it stands already, or you wouldn't need your credit repaired.
Exactly. Exactly.
I'm
No,
sorry.
no, babe, no, no,
Yeah.
no, no, no. And another thing, side note. N- Everybody tells you they can do credit repair. Not everybody's qualified to do credit repair. This goes back to the fraud thing. Stop trying to shop around to find the cheapest rate to get your credit repair. Because again, and I'm going to say this again and again and again, because people in our community love doing it. They will find the most irreputable person. Oh, I fix credit. Oh, here's all my information. See what you could do. You just gave away your information, and you want to know why your information is being used other places. You just gave it to somebody
Right.
because they say they charge $20. It's you know, I had a young lady.
And that's the thing. Yeah,
I
go
had a
ahead.
young lady who, you charge too much to do taxes. My friend doing for $15 and gave. I said, okay, well, I'm not gonna argue with you because I'm not gonna lower my standard. Tell me why the friend or the person she knew that did her taxes, one did her taxes wrong. Two was using her was you had sold her information to somebody else to getting cell phones. I said, oh, it sucks for you. You if somebody
And it's probably an audit on the way.
it probably is. But my thing is qualify the person that you are talking to about
Hmm.
anything. When you talk about your credit and they say, oh, I repair credit, really? Yeah. Qualify them. What's your credit score? Just out of curiosity, what's your credit score? Oh, my credit score is
Right.
625. Yeah, you have a good day. Because you're not fixing your own credit to tell me you can fix mine. Things
Mm.
like that. But again, if you want to do it yourself, know what you're doing. And when you're negotiating, I know we kind of got off topic, but when you're negotiating your debt settlement, so if Tracy from National Recovery calls, first thing you say, well, Tracy, I know I owe it 800, but will you accept 350 and consider the account closed? Yes, I will accept 350 and consider the account closed. You know what, Tracy? Send that to me in writing to my email address. Extend to me what
Hmm.
you just said, because I'm gonna tell you something. If you don't get it in writing and you send Tracy that
It
350,
didn't
you know what she
happen.
gonna ask you? Okay, now when you gonna pay the other 450? But you said,
Mm.
good luck on that. Good
Hmm.
luck on that.
Right, right.
You know,
And I mean, at the same time, like, documentation is not a bad thing. And we're going to have to, start to wrap it
yeah,
up. But documentation is not a bad thing. It protects you, but also it gives you a blueprint for how far you've come. Because when you have that and you know that it's paid, it can go into a specific file where at the end of the month, every quarter, at the end of the year, you can really go back and see how far you have come based on the things that you have documented.
right.
Like, and it don't happen if you don't document it. We not even just talking about with the debt relief people, and we talking about within your own personal self. Sit down, see where you are, figure out the plan, work the plan, get somebody else to assist you with effectively working the plan. And then at the end of the year, if you want to wait that long, see what you have done.
Mhm,
And I promise that weight will be lifted
mhm.
just a little bit more and more until it's not there no more.
Last one, and I'm not gonna hold. I'm gonna make it quick. Use a credit builder loan or a credit builder situation where you can build your credit. So, a credit builder loan is you go to a bank, say, "Hey, look, I want to borrow $500." Right? You don't use the money for nothing. You take the money and you pay it right back to the bank. Sometimes they won't even. Sometimes they'll take the money and put it in a CD for you, and you just make the payments. And when you make all your payments, they give you back the $500. But on your credit
Mm,
report, it's a loan paid on time.
mm,
So there's apps and there's apps that do that, and there's certain banks that will allow you to do that. I do it from time to time if I just want to I want to put some new fresh stuff on my credit report. I just get a loan knowing I'm gonna pay it. I'm gonna have no use for it. I'm just paying it back. So that's something that you can do to help out your situation. But again,
if you're not already
if you're
overextended,
not
let's say
overextended,
that. Let's make that clear because some people they be like, "Oh, he just gave me a whole new tip, y'all. Like I'm about to go get this credit builder loan." But you know good and well you can't pay the loan back yet.
the trick to it is they don't give you the money.
You can't even pay for what that payday loan that you. But
Oh
it's
Lord, don't talk about
mindset
payday
too.
loans. That
Because somebody gonna be
yeah.
mad thinking that they finna get a come up on some money, and they like, no, that ain't how this works. So if you're not
Hmm.
overextended, if you are financially responsible, if you have discipline, then yes, please use the tip that he just gave you. If you are one of my
Hmm.
lovely listeners and viewers that don't have that discipline as of yet, put it in your back pocket. Put it later on down the line of your plan that once you get things manageable, then maybe you'll explore that.
Yes. But again, these are just tips that I'm sharing with you that I share with all my clients. But if you need a one-on-one, I am always available. I make time for my clients and all my future clients. I'll say that. Again, if you need to ever get in contact with me, my number is 832-600-6028. My email address is tjones at Paladin Tax. That's PALADIN Tax, TAX.com. I'm available anytime. Shoot me a text, shoot me an email. We'll schedule a time that's good for you where we can sit down and talk and see if we can do business to help you improve your financial situation so you can get on your path and begin your purpose to do what you got to do to have a secure financial life. Again,
That's
thank you,
what's up.
everybody. Nicole, dear, thank you again. It's been a wonderful Sunday.
Yes, yes, definitely. And look, y'all, I already got my meeting scheduled for next week. So I don't play no games. I ain't finna wait on none of y'all because this man gonna be hot and the slots is gonna be taken up. But guess what? I'm an OG. So y'all wait after me. But that's neither here nor there. As always, T, thank you for your time and for the
Mhm.
wonderful information, the tips, the tools, the resources, your vast wealth of knowledge when it comes to taxes, finances, credit repair, all of that. Like I knew I brought the right one on here, and we gonna do some amazing things to reach the people and get out and get them to change their pockets, man. I don't know about y'all, but I want my pockets to change, right? So I'm gonna do what I need to do to be able to change my pockets and to become a testament of this connection that he and I have as a means to help y'all grow and get better. So, unfortunately, you got to wait a whole other 30 days before this man is going to grace us again with his presence. But y'all make sure, like I said, this is a journey. Credit and credit repair is a journey. It is a marathon, if you will, not a sprint, right? If
That's
you
correct.
have any challenges right now with your credit history, your credit worthiness, go back and watch the previous episode that T and I did together about understanding your credit. Really sit down and see where you are. Are you just above the surface of financial constraint and financial demise? Are you underneath so much water financially that you cannot make heads or tails of what's up or down? Or are you, kind of coasting up in the skyline where you feel like you're good no matter where you are. This information is valuable to everyone. And then go back during this week and run this episode down. Sit down with your notepad, take the notes that apply to you, and then get in contact with this man, y'all. Like, people don't be offering this stuff for free. Like, the people who know, they don't usually offer this stuff for free. You got to pay. And you gonna pay either way, like he and I have been saying all night. Do you want to control how you pay, or do you want how you pay to be controlled? It's a difference. But I love each and every one of y'all, like, for real, for real. Look forward to all the great and amazing things coming out of the works for Cake Doubles. And then also Paladin Tax Service. It's after tax season, but he don't never stop. This man is year round, with the things that he does. So T, again, thank you for your time. Thank you for your investment. Thank you for wanting to help people the same way that I want to help people. And to all of my viewers, thank y'all for tuning in week over week, man. Like, I'm appreciative of your love and support on the Sunday Sit Down. And until the next episode, which will be next Sunday as always, please, please, please look forward to and achieve a good life filled with real love and all of the above.